The interview that you did where you confronted your online bully, your cyber bully, was that an NPR thing? Is it?
It was a podcast hosted by Dylan Marin called Conversations with People Who Hate Me.
Wow, that was mind-blowing.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Do you want to tell our audience a little bit about the setup?
So, I'm a woman with a body on the internet, and some people didn't like that and started sending all sorts of harassing comments and messages and emails, death threats, finding out where my family lives, doing all sorts of stupid things. And it was peak COVID. So, if you can remember that time, early COVID, this is like August, September, October of COVID. So it was like of 2020. So the internet was kind of all we had. It felt like it was like how we're seeing our friends, how we're getting our news. So when things were happening online, to me, it really felt like it was happening in my life. And it felt like a really big deal. Now, when I look back on it, I'm like, I wonder if I would have been able to compartmentalize that better. But at the time, it was really, really affecting me, which I think is fair. And there was this one guy who wrote me multiple messages. And I usually don't look at my messages from people. I don't even get my messages from people who I don't follow because there's so many and there's sometimes really disturbing. And so that's a way of self-protection. Is like, I'm here to have conversations with people who I know have my best intention at heart, and I'm not really willing to gamble with that. But at the time, because I was receiving so many violent messages, I felt like I needed to know what was coming at me. So I started reading the messages from other people, which probably didn't help my mental health. And there was this one guy who would comment on was particularly, I felt like, triggered by me having a political opinion, and also, would still use derogatory gendered insults. And I really tried to understand him. So I clicked on his profile because now I'm just curious, who could say things like this to somebody they don't know? And I click on his profile and I see he's kind of a young kid, and he has other girls or women in his pictures. The reason I responded to him specifically was because it felt like he could see women as people. There are so many accounts that just post memes or, sports or violence or whatever. And this guy seemed like a real person who sees female people as people. So I wrote him back. We had a little bit of a conversation. It didn't seem like I could get through to him in any way, but I, thought it was interesting. And then when Dylan Marin approached me to do this podcast, I was like, well, there are a few people that, because I really want to understand. It's part of what you said about me at the beginning. I do have very strong convictions. And one of them is you don't send borderline violent messages to people you don't know, or even honestly to people you do know. Violence in any way is wrong, but that was part of it. And yet the empathetic part of me is I really want to understand what you're getting out of this, what you're missing in your life. And ultimately, through this conversation that we had online, I learned a lot more about just bully mentality and loneliness and the oneness that people can feel when they are ganging up on somebody together, and how that makes them feel like they are bigger than themselves because they're a part of a community. And even though nothing actually changes in their lives, I think again, because it was COVID and the internet felt like it was such a radical force in our lives, it gave people that. Not that they don't gang up on people pre-COVID and post-COVID,